Hello and welcome to another episode of the Five at the Back Soccer Podcast. I am Charles here with Kyle, Scott, and Eric. Jen and Christian have the night off. They are busy doing other things, not being here with us to talk soccer, which is it's shame on them, to be fair. All right, lot of surprising things I would say have happened over the past few days. Both in the Premier League and in the Champions League. And we are going to kind of break it down. Let's kick it off with the game, the result that I think everyone saw coming and no one saw coming all at the same time, which was United's dominance of Spurs on the weekend. Scott, I'm going to kick it over to you first. How are you feeling, first of all? And how much do you want to say thank you to me?
I am thrilled beyond belief. I probably the biggest victory for Spurs in a loss in quite some time. I want to thank you, thank Ronaldo most of all, because it seemed like he was one of the few that was interested.
He was interested
in doing so, and I'd like to thank the academy. Levy, for God knows how he did that. Paratici, Ronaldo. And I don't think Ole did it on purpose. Like, I think he accidentally won that game, so I won't thank Ole. But yeah, there was honestly, jokes aside, one of the worst performances I've seen from good players in a Spurs kit. And they got booed. Nuno got booed. A substitution of Lo Celso got booed. And they all deserved it. So it was amazing. I mean, yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, Nuno was specifically. I'm going to speak specifically about this game because I don't watch all of Spurs games for logical reasons. He was outclassed in this game. The decision by Ole to play five at the back and get Varane in between Bailly and Maguire was a really, really intelligent one. Unfortunately, Varane was not able to continue in that spot. He did pull his hamstring. Unfortunately, he's out for a month, which is really, really disappointing for United fans. But it actually might turn out to be a similar kind of victory in a loss kind of situation. If this results in United losing the next like 3 matches, it could turn the fortunes around in a different way. But yeah, I mean, I think what worked most for United in this game was simply that they controlled and pressed at the right times. They did not actually defensively press Spurs all that much. They allowed Spurs to have possession of the ball. If you look at the possession statistics, they were actually relatively even for most of the game. But when United went on the attack, they went on the attack as a full team, which we hadn't been seeing most often. It was more like put the ball up to Ronaldo or Rashford or Greenwood, and then some of the midfielders would come along with, but the whole team wouldn't necessarily come along with. And so that was nice. It was nice to see. Unfortunately, Ole, I think now he thinks, or using that, I think he thinks that the 5-3-2 might be his best option. I still don't think it is. I think it's merely a band-aid for a larger problem, which, surprise, surprise, is still that we don't have enough quality at defensive center mid. Pogba was dreadful in this game. He was the worst player on the field by a long shot. So much so that I was wishing for Fred to come on, and that should tell everybody everything that you need to know.
That is bad.
I would have rather had Fred in that position because Pogba's defensive work rate is really, really bad in my opinion, and that's why him sitting in the middle of the park is just such a bad idea overall. Bruno had a lackluster day overall. His movement is getting annoying, to say the least, and that's also part of the reason why he's so tired. It's because he's still stretching himself from sideline to sideline. When he vacates the 10 position, it leaves a hole open and nobody ever goes to fill it. And if that's part of Ole's tactics, my question is, once again, what are you doing? what sense does that make? You're limiting yourself by taking away someone in the center of the park, because basically then they know it's either, it's going to stay on the right or it's going to go to the left. It's not going to go anywhere near the middle. So good job, Ole, on shutting yourself down with that one. Good goals, honestly. The Ronaldo goals and the Cavani goal, class. I was not disappointed in any way. We didn't get. I didn't feel like we got cheap goals against you guys, which was really nice to see. I was worried it was going to be one of those things where we haphazardly beat you, and I didn't want that. But yeah, it didn't happen that way, which was really nice to see. I'm really. I was telling Eric and Kyle this before the game, or before the recording here. Rashford has been the most pleasing surprise so far. He has come back in seamlessly. He's scoring goals. He's making runs. He's moving. He's getting on other people's asses when they're not acting right, and I love it. That's exactly what I want to see out of Rashford. He has been with this team long enough, and he's put in enough work and time and effort. It shows that he cares, and he actually, he's a class player. He's not just an off the field star. He's a class on the field star as well. So pleasing for me for the weekend, and then we had Champions League happen and everything came back to normal. So we'll talk about that later though. So all right, let's shift on over. Battle of the Oil Daddies. Kyle, wanna give us a rundown on how this drilled down?
Oh,
look at this guy.
You're welcome.
Worked on that one all week.
Second biggest joke related to Manchester outside of the actual team.
Hey, City's not that bad.
So the game against Newcastle went about how I expected it to go. The only exception was I think it took us a little longer than I anticipated to get that first goal. But I mean, we had something like 70% possession the first half. Newcastle couldn't get a sniff. I mean, it got to the point where the fans were cheering wildly whenever their players got the ball for more than 2 seconds. We were able to bottle up St. Maximin. He wasn't able to do his normal dribble the ball out of tight situations and find that 1 in a million pass. Reece James scored 2 of the nicest goals I've seen from a defender. And then Jorginho got a penalty. So, I mean, all in all, pretty nice day up in Newcastle. And that's it. I mean, there's really nothing much else to talk about. It was the status quo. And Newcastle looked like the side they are, which is a relegation threatened side. And Chelsea took advantage of those teams, which in the past we haven't. So
Newcastle is so bad that Nuno's Tottenham looked good. So
yeah, I mean, in the past couple of years we've gone up there, and for one reason or another we've come away with 1 point or no points, or if we've gotten 3 points it's been a struggle. And you don't know what's going to happen on any given day, but it went how I expected it to go. Like I said, the only negative, if you want to call it that, is it took us till the second half to get a goal when we were dominant in every phase in the first half, with the exception of scoring that first goal. But nothing happened that was out of the ordinary or unexpected on Saturday.
Yeah, I say there was I was paying attention to the scoreline. I wasn't actually watching the match, but I was a little bit worried for you early on. It seemed like the Newcastle was keeping it a little too close to start, and I was like, I kind of course the chaos was kind of appealing to me for them to come in and either draw with you or steal a win. But obviously in the second half, you guys turned it on and said, no, we're just brushed them aside, which you should do given where you are.
And if you were to do that and you were to just watch the scoreline, I can see where you would think that, because it's Newcastle and you're like, it's okay, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes go by and it's still 0-0. But if you watch the game, and I don't expect people that aren't Chelsea or Newcastle fans to
watch that one.
make an appointment to sit down and watch Chelsea versus Newcastle. But if you watch the game, it was a borderline training exercise for Chelsea in that they were passing the ball around for fun. and all it took was breaking. And for Darlow is one of the most skittish keepers I think I've ever seen. He cannot make a decision when it comes to whether he wants to throw the ball out, kick it out. He takes 5 minutes to kick the ball. I mean, it got to the point where he got a warning for time wasting in the 20th minute. Like, so that
Sad.
pretty much, yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums up the game. But I can see if you're not watching the game, it looks tighter than it was. But I mean, Chelsea dominated in all phases. So it was a game I expected us to win, which I can't say would be the case in years past.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all in all, a tidy finish for you guys, and wrapped up 3 points. Got a nice another 3 goals added to your differential, which is not a bad day at the office at all.
And we've now had 17 different scores in the Prem, which is crazy to think about.
Nobody asked.
Well,
just FYI, no one asked.
No,
That's a lot.
but I'm still gonna let you know.
That's some depth.
Speaking of no one asked, Liverpool had themselves a bit of a game this weekend, didn't they, Eric?
Guess what? I didn't ask for a friggin' tie either, but that's what I got. But
Talk to us about that one.
It was an unfortunate draw, and 2 things that might prove to be our downfall this year if it continues is, number one, defensive lapses, letting in kind of soft goals or men unchecked in our box, and number 2, not putting goals away. If you're up 1-0 or 2-0, if you have an opportunity, you have to put these Prem teams up, they're down 3 or 4-0, and we unfortunately against Brighton we didn't do that. We had 2 goals taken away, rightfully so, for handball and for offsides. Would have made it 4-0, and after the second one was taken away, we just kind of did our thing so far as defensive lapses, and the midfield didn't look great. No Fabinho, and to be honest, Van Dijk's still working his way back. It's not slanderous, but he didn't have a good game. He really didn't, and it's just a poor defensive effort all around. And here you're going from picking up 3 points at the 70th minute, and now all of a sudden you look at the 80th and it's 2-2 already, and you're looking at 1 point for a draw. So just very, very disappointing. Draws against Brighton and yeah, I bet draws against Brighton and draws against Brentford are not going to win you the league. So this is a very disappointing result for us, and for Brighton, for Potter, it hats off to them. They're a great team, and he probably gets the best out of what he has, and hats off to him for going into our park and stealing some points. So
let me ask you this: would you classify this as Brighton doing well enough to earn their 2 points, or to earn their points and their 2 goals, or did Liverpool feel too comfortable early on and start looking on to Atletico in the midweek?
That's a great question. I think it's like I alluded to just now, I think it's a little bit of both. I hate to be that guy, and sometimes I come up on Twitter. I really do hate to be that guy that doesn't give the opponent any credit at all. But you got to give them credit for, if the other side doesn't put you away, then you keep attacking and keep, going again and being relentless, which is what they did. They're going to, capitalize on their chances, and that's what they did. So hats off to them to do it twice. Not just once. They could have narrowed it down and made it 2-1 and made a respectable, score line, and people might have been happy with, you give it a good try at Anfield, and Liverpool's just too hot right now, but they kept pressing and kept on grinding and made it 2-2, and you got to get hats off for that. So unfortunately, but for them, good result. For us, just a crap result. So
who was the best midfielder on the field?
I'll have to pick one.
Don't worry, he doesn't play for your team. Seriously, but I mean that was a dickish way for me to ask this question and make this point. Like, is your midfield anywhere near good enough to win the league?
I think when healthy, have Fabinho healthy, you have Thiago healthy, and you have Kaida. Yeah, right. But Kaida healthy, and
well, all
Curtis Jones chipping in, Ox chipping in. I think it's good enough to get it over the line. But the caveat is they have to stay healthy, and they really haven't shown. Some of them haven't shown they can do that. So that remains to be seen. But
yeah, it was. I watched a chunk of the first half at least, and watching, I'm like, geez, like now Henderson's goal, was great. But watching him play and watching the lineup selection and the way that Brighton could kind of, they weren't under a lot of pressure in the midfield. It felt like And they're not that good in midfield. I just thought that was strange.
Yeah, midfield was definitely a weak spot. 100%. Ask any Liverpool fan watching the match. It wasn't meant to be in the midfield. The forwards did great. You know, Mane, I was bagging on him last year. He looks like he's back. We'll talk about him more in the Champions League. But you know, Mo is going to be Mo's off to a great start. You know, Bobby's doing his thing up there. Jota's scoring now, so that part's great. But if we can stop, you know, got to convert, you know, all your chance or most of your chance. You're not going to convert all of them, but most of the big chances and get up to that 3-4-1. You know, if you can a lead and not having defensive lapses, we'll be fine. But there's a whole bunch of clubs that can say that. So everybody says that. So we'll see what's going on with Liverpool in the future. So.
All right. Speaking of another surprise, but only a surprise to everybody but me, Arsenal coming through on Leicester, and to be fair, kind of dominating Leicester. I mean, 2-0 result. Leicester had chances, but not many great chances. And I mean, I think we're at the point now where we have to ask, is Arteta doing something right? Is he doing everything right? I mean, they're 9 games in a row unbeaten.
Are you a Cronky asking me this?
No.
Okay, then no. I think he's a blind squirrel, finding a nut while someone is
run.
He's in the sidecar. You know, he's not actually. No.
Yeah. So it's honestly, the only reason why I chose Arsenal in last week's pick'em was strictly because I saw more issues with Leicester than I did see, you know, bonus points and profit in Arsenal in the long run. I think that Arsenal's about to come crashing back down to the norm. They have played well recently. They have found some form, but they're still not a good enough team to sustain any type of winning streak like this.
I think they could challenge. I mean, they'll challenge for European spot.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, when I say he's not getting something together, I mean, he's not like a legitimate top 4, run or anything. But I think they could 8th through 10th, with 10th being a disappointment.
Is 8th even a European spot?
Yeah, it's a Europa League or Conference League, isn't it?
Is it a Conference League spot?
Depending on coefficient, and I don't know. Hopefully, I don't ever have to ask again. But.
I think their ceiling is 7th or 8th right now, and so you know, we'll flip flop between Arsenal and Spurs as to who goes where. But we're going to finish at least top 6. So okay,
lock it in. I'll bet you any amount of money you want.
Lock it in. November the 4th. Scott mandates
timestamp
top 6.
9:48 or 9:18. I'm going to say it again in 30 minutes.
That's fine. That's fine. We get it. But yeah, so Arsenal come through with a 2-0 win. Honestly, they needed that to have any hopes, I think, of gaining momentum moving forward. I think a loss at Leicester would have, you know, kind of sent them off the rails a little bit. I wouldn't, you know, necessarily been too upset about that, but overall, I think that them having those 3 points going forward, I mean, it puts them in a good position overall. Their next match, I was actually just trying to pull that up, who their next match is against this weekend, because I think Watford. It's a relatively easy one. What?
Watford.
Yeah, Watford. Yeah. So I think that they will. Honestly, they're at home against Watford. I think that they'll beat Watford, but it comes crashing down next week or the following week at Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to them for getting a 2-0 win, but Ramsdale played out of his skin.
Yeah, he did.
So you know, it's not like it was a comfortable, like, cruise control 2-0 win. I mean, they're getting the job done, and all you ask of your team is to get the job done. Correct. But I mean, you're talking about a team that drew 2-2 at Crystal Palace, need a late goal to draw 2-2 at Crystal Palace, and a team that was held scoreless by Brighton. Yeah. So it's, you know, their win streak is, you know, it's cool. They're unbeaten in 9 games, but have any of them been uber impressive? The Aston Villa is probably the only one that comes to mind, the 3-1 win. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I'll give them credit. Sorry, I will say one nice thing. I kind of chuckled at the Ramsdale signing. I thought it was too much money for barely above average keeper, but he has been good. I mean,
Yep.
credit
Yeah.
to them for that.
Absolutely.
And Ben White is looking better as well.
Is he?
Yeah.
Not quite 50 million pounds, but he's young and he doesn't look like shit anymore. So,
That's good.
yeah.
I will say right now, Ramsdale is definitely their number one. I would pick him over Leno in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Based on the way they've been playing lately. So
Yeah.
but no, what I was going to add on is so starting at the Liverpool match, they have their next those 4 matches after, or the 3 matches after Liverpool. So it goes Liverpool, then they play at home against Newcastle, then they play at Man United, at Everton. Over that 4-game stretch, they have a legitimate chance of losing all 4. I mean, Liverpool could put a 5-0 scoreline on them easily. And
They're not losing to Newcastle.
I see.
I
don't trust.
I just watched Newscastle. I just watched.
Yeah, that's fine, but I don't trust Arsenal enough to not lose to Newcastle. It's more about Arsenal losing the game than it is about Newcastle winning it.
I guess. I mean, honestly, you would have to try really hard to lose to that Newcastle team.
I've seen Arsenal do worse.
Look, I know I wouldn't put it past Arsenal, but
when do they play them?
It is November the 27th.
27th, so Thanksgiving weekend.
Now let me ask you this: haven't seen both clubs play. Who's worse, Newcastle or Norwich?
Norwich, far and away.
Norwich is dreadful.
Norwich is
absolutely
awful.
dreadful.
Newcastle,
So
at least. No, Newcastle has some pieces. They have Saint Maximin. They got Almiron. You know, they've got some pieces. Norwich has nothing.
Yeah.
Norwich's best players are Loneys and Timo Pukki.
And Max Aarons.
Yeah, and he
Who's
had
a
no
right
goal,
back.
and he had no goal against Chelsea. Yeah. So it's Norwich is dreadful. They're terrible.
Yeah, Norwich is that class, or that team that just like last season we were wondering if they're going to score more than just 1 point in a game, like if they're ever gonna win. They may not this season.
Yeah, they're abject.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on. Let's do a brief recap of Champions League stuff that's gone on this week.
All right, Scott, you first.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
no?
that's right.
Okay, sorry. All right.
So sorry, I was muted. So we played.
Not in the Champions League. So we'll go in order of how the games were played out. So I'm going to kick it over to Kyle first. Chelsea was the first one to compete this week.
Yeah. So first off, I'd like to apologize to the whole of Sweden. It was a very nice stadium that we played in. The field was lovely. So my previous comments regarding the field in Sweden were wrong, and I apologize for that. It played out how I expected it to. It's an away game. You know, I didn't expect us to go in there and beat them 6-0. We ended up winning 1-0. The pass on the goal was prettier than the goal. Callum Hudson-Odoi just hit an absolute perfect low cross across the face of goal. It was in that danger area where the keeper couldn't come out and get it. And Ziyech, I mean, he would have had to have no feet, which sometimes he looks like he does, but he would have no feet to not score that goal. So, 1-0, thank you, we're out of there. That's pretty much sums it up. Other than that, it was just
3 points.
Yeah, it was 3 points. And, it was a less than stellar performance from Chelsea. Malmo had like one legitimate chance coming out of halftime. That's it, really. So it's a slog, 3 points, you move on.
The next game of note would have been Man United versus Atalanta. We traveled to Italy for this match. And as I alluded to earlier, things went right back to the norm. Ole tried to, I don't even know. The honest answer. I don't even know what he was trying to do. The match frustrated me from start to finish. I even said, like, I didn't even celebrate the game tying goal, because while it was a quality finish, and I very much appreciate Ronaldo's technical skill and his ability to put the ball in the back of the net. We didn't deserve it. We definitely didn't deserve it. It was a masterclass, in my opinion. I even said this before the game. I said, we're not going to come out and press them like Atalanta needs to be pressed. We said, and we did exactly that. We sat back. Atalanta pressed us. They were hungrier. They were more energetic. They went after things. They easily looked like the better team, which is a scary thought, considering the level of talent on either side of the ball. I'm a firm believer that Man United should beat Atalanta 9 times out of 10 and should never draw with them. The way that we've played them in the last two matches against them, they look like they're the better squad, and that's on Ole, and it makes me further worry.
I don't get it, because everyone knows how they're going to play.
Yeah,
the formation, the 11, and the style. So to look surprised and caught off guard by that is, I don't get it.
It's all on the manager, and this is further driving down my idea that Ole is out of his depth and he's being protected. I saw an interesting little snippet today about how the Glazers view Manchester United and what they're seeking from Manchester United, and that is simply a top 4 finish on a regular basis. They don't want to win the Premier League or the Champions League because it costs more money when you win things like that, i.e. having to pay players more and then sign better players. They just want to see the revenue come in. They want people to spend on the club based on the nostalgia of how great the club used to be. Based on the decisions that have been made over the past 5 years, that little snippet seems pretty accurate. It seems to hit the nail on the head pretty well. And that's part of the reason why Ole is being protected as hard as he is, because he keeps them goodish. All right, but they'll never be great, in my opinion, under him.
Well, Kyle and I talked a little bit last night. I don't know if it was during the pod or before or after, but I understand why Conte didn't go to United and why United didn't want Conte. I think that was, had they made a serious inquiry, I think he would have gone there. I mean, I don't think there's anybody stupid enough to say he would choose Spurs over United, but he wouldn't lay down for that group. The Glazers don't want somebody that will call them out and hold them accountable and need things and not complain. Ole will just, yes sir, no ma'am, his way into keeping that job, as long as he doesn't, just completely crap himself.
Correct.
And Conte would have, and you've seen it. He'll give an interview and say, yeah, so and so wouldn't buy this player, and I talked to the player. The player wanted to come here, but the club wouldn't do the deal, and they don't want that
right
at all. Yeah. Anyone that's going to buck the system like that, and they know Ole won't.
Yep, they don't want somebody to come in and upset their cash cow.
Right,
more or less.
Yeah.
And so it's really disappointing, but we're still alive in the group. We're in second place at the moment. We're second only on
goal difference.
No, now that I think about it, I was gonna say it's on goal difference, but I don't know off the top of my head how the Champions League tiebreaker works, because I remember I looked at the thing and it had us top of the group, but we are on a lower goal difference than Villarreal. But we beat them. And so I'm wondering if the head-to-head is the reason why we are ahead of them in the table at the moment. But either way,
it's got to be. That's the only thing that makes sense.
First, second, whatever. We're still alive. We got to play young boys again. And if we don't beat them by 3 or 4 goals, I'll consider that a massive disappointment. And honestly, I don't see any reason why we can't beat Villarreal again. They're a good squad, but again, we're better. We should run this group out. Like, we should have won our first 4 or 5 matches and then been able to play second and third stringers, to clean up the group. But we're not doing that. It's going to be rough. Anyway, moving on to some teams that take Champions League seriously. Liverpool finished off Atletico Madrid fairly handily. Eric, give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, walking the group of death. We're walking it pretty well, but I never felt nervous in this one. Got off to a good start. We had 2 goals within 25 minutes. Jota and I think Mane scored, and there's a little bit of a blip when that old friggin' asshole Suarez scored, but he was offsides, and I thought in my mind there's a defensive lapse coming after that we talked about earlier in the pod, but it was not to be done, and we focused and bore down, and they weren't really a threat after that. And especially not after that weird, we were talking before the pod, Charles and I, about the weird red card. That was kind of odd too, but having him tossed and going down to 10 men, really, if they weren't doing anything with 11, they're not gonna do anything with 10. So I wasn't really nervous throughout, and we got 2 more games to go in the group left, and we can finally rest and do the maintenance program, rest some players, and got some injuries we're dealing with. So we'll start some of the squad players, some of the younger players, and then hopefully hope for a good draw in the knockout round. So.
Did you just refer to probably the greatest modern striker that you guys have had as an asshole?
Yeah, it kind of is, man.
That's no way to treat a club legend. How dare you?
Oh, yeah. He wasn't there long enough to be a legend. I don't know.
Oh, okay, Eric. All right. all the guy did was score bucket loads of goals for you, but all right.
Ask anybody.
This is fascinating.
Ask anybody. We don't like him anymore. He's biting people. He used the slur against the one guy. It's not acceptable. It's not.
Sounds more like a Liverpool fan than a Liverpool player.
I
Sorry,
I was about to compliment Eric right there. I mean, honestly, that's something we see far too little of these days, is people actively taking a stand against players who did really, really well in their past for a club, but they still revere them as club legends when they're maybe not good people in general. So Eric, I applaud you for that.
If Mo, thank you, Charles. If Mo did the same thing, I'd say the same thing about him, man. It's just, if he would have left without all those incidents, he just would have left and signed with somebody else, and then fair play to him, and then he probably would be a legend in my eyes. But all the stuff that clouds his tenure there, then no, I'm not going to say he's a legend.
Yep.
Was he a good player? Yeah. Was he a legend? No.
All right.
Point blank.
Fair enough. All right. Let's go ahead on over to you, Scott. Let's get your rundown on the 5-goal, 5 or 7 or 9 card thriller. I don't know how many cards there were.
Well, there was 3 red cards, several more yellow cards. And interesting enough, both the first 2 red cards were second yellow, so 4 yellows. And those 2 red, that's 6 cards on 2 players alone. So, and then their keeper got a red card. So, well, I'll start earlier on there. So in the first 30 seconds of the match, you could tell that these players were like, oh shit, I don't want to look bad for the new coach. Don't want to look bad for the new coach. Run. And they were all over the place. Like Nuno had to be watching that and he probably broke his TV with a Dundee, he had to be absolutely furious because these players that just made no effort for him were out there running like their hair was on fire for Antonio Conte 4 days later. But we looked incredible early. I got a couple of good goals, and it was 3-0 in 30 minutes. And we, as we always do, we conceded from a corner, and which is, again, I'm glad Conte got to see that because we are absolute shit from set pieces. So game 1, welcome to Spurs. And then the second goal we gave up, Lucas Moura literally conceded possession twice in 3 seconds in our own half. Like he had a poor touch to the defender. He recovered the ball, and then he had a nice little back pass playing one of the Vitesse players through on goal. It looked like the United match from a couple weeks ago, Charles. I can't remember, was it Lingard or somebody did the same thing, and then they scored easily. But then Christian Romero, our new signing at center back, got his second yellow, and it was a bad one. Like he was an idiot for that, making that play. And about the 60th minute, so we played half an hour with 10 men, and about 20 minutes later, they got a red, and then 5 minutes later, their keeper got a red for a handball outside the box. Like he saved a shot 15 yards out of his own box. Just a natural instinct for a keeper. And it was 3-2 by that point, and they were down to 9. We were down to 10. We controlled the match. Could have easily been 4, 5, 6 if we'd finished some chances and with the possession we had. But the absolute roller coaster. Conte got the full Spurs experience in 90 minutes. So it was really good. Good result, learning experience. Showed some progress pretty quick under Conte. Obviously, it's not everything he's going to want, and he said as much after the match. But it was good progress. Get a win in the first game, build some momentum. I'm looking forward to the international break for the first time in quite some time, because that'll give him some time with the players to train. So good performance, good result, and a really fun match. And we're not leading the group because Nuno is a bag of balls. We're second in the group behind Rennes. They're on 10 points and we're on 7, but we play them next. So we'll see what happens there.
So I was going to say,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Charles. I was going to say, going backwards, talk about back to Champions League. I was going to ask Kyle and you. Let's play a little game real quick if you guys want to. Give me 3 teams in the knockout round you don't want to play. I want to see if your list is comparable kind of mine, but go ahead.
3 teams we don't want to play in the knockout round.
Right.
Bayern. Chelsea. And Ajax.
Interesting.
Ooh.
They're really good right now, though.
That's a nice list, yeah. You want me to go, or Kyle? You want to think about it? You want me to go, or
Yeah, you go. I gotta
right.
figure out who's.
Kyle's got to remember what the Champions League is.
Yeah,
which one of these tournaments that Chelsea's in are you talking about?
I'm gonna go with Charles. Got a good list. I'm gonna go with some of his. I'm gonna go number 1. If I were to rank them from, toughest to a little bit easiest, like to not want to tolerate, but I guess you could say first would be Chelsea. Man, Chelsea's just playing so well this year. It was a time where you can outgoal their backline wouldn't be as great. You could squeeze out like a 3-2 or 4-3, but now you can't even do that. Or they can beat you with pouring on the goals. So Chelsea's my number 1. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see City, and I don't want to see Bayern. That's my top 3.
Okay, so I'm going based off of who's projected to go through now. Obviously, it's only 4 of the 6 matches played, but number 1 for me would be Liverpool. Whenever we play Liverpool, it's some form of shenanigans happen against Chelsea, whether it be of their own design or otherwise. I think the past 2 of the 3 games that we've played Liverpool, we've had a red card in. So it's just, between that and just Liverpool clicking on all cylinders as of right now, with the exception of
you guys
this
could
past
just stop
weekend
cheating
against
them.
I mean, yeah, we could, but where's the fun in that? You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
You ain't cheating, you ain't Chelsea.
You got to do it the honorable way, Kyle.
Yeah. So Liverpool would be number 1. Probably Bayern would be close second. You could honestly be 1A, 1B with Bayern and Liverpool. And I mean, Bayern is just Bayern. They're a machine. I do not want to see them outside of the quarterfinal or later. And then I guess I'd have to pick Real Madrid right now, only because their league form is starting to improve a lot. They're starting to click. They're starting to gel a little bit under Ancelotti.
That's rude picking an easy win, Kyle. That's rude.
But I wouldn't want to see Real Madrid because they're starting to pick it up. Now, we'll play anyone anywhere, obviously, but if I had to choose, those 3 teams would be the ones I wouldn't get selected. So.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll see how it shakes out. We got what do we have? Another we get the international break coming up next week, and then we come back and that's the next round of games after that, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. A lot of football going on right now, especially with the international matches. I mean, is it just me, or does it feel like there are more international breaks than normal?
There are, because the Euros were pushed back.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's why it feels like that, because you had the Euros and then you have the qualification for the World Cup right on top of it.
Got it. Okay.
So
I was gonna say, I saw the thing. I was like, are you kidding me? It's another international break.
And these are the World Cup
God.
qualifier national break or international break. So the next match day for the Champions League is the 23rd of November.
Yeah. Speaking of which, really good to see Pulisic back in. Glad to see he's back on the pitch.
Yeah,
feeling better.
he had a nice little cameo. He had a chance to score a goal really, really late, but his first touch let him down and he sent the ball wide. But it was good to see him get a run out, not get hurt, and get some game time in.
Be a good boost for the US when they get him back for sure.
Yeah, and hopefully he'll be in line to play significant minutes against Burnley. So we'll see.
That'd be good. So okay, let's move ourselves now back out of Europe and back to the Premier League. We've got a few big games this weekend, I would say, that we're going to preview, and then we're going to go straight into our pick 'em and do that for tonight. So starting off, I would say probably the biggest game of the weekend as far as matchups and the old Manchester Derby. Sorry, they pronounce the E's as A's. And who knows? They say it's their language, but they don't do it right. It's weird. Yeah, we play City. We play City. And
without Varane.
Without Varane. Varane's out for a month. Lindelof is out injured as well, which means we have a starting back four with Maguire and Bailly in the middle, and then Wan-Bissaka and Shaw on the outside. And first substitute at center back is none other than Phil Jones.
That's why you didn't sell him.
Yeah.
Good move.
Yeah, that's it. That was the reason. We have every reason to be afraid of another 5-0 drubbing like we had against Liverpool. And yet I'm bullish. I think United is going to do quite well against City this weekend. I have only one piece of information that nudges me in that direction, and that is that Ole, for some reason, has Pep's number. Why that is, don't know. How that is, also don't know. But Ole has an outstanding record against Pep. I know some people are worried about the fact that we don't have Varane. Sure, it's a loss, but we haven't had him in any other games that we beat City with. So is it impossible? No. More concerning is Harry Maguire's form. That is a massive concern.
It's been rough.
It has been really rough. Like, you can see a player drop off a little bit here and there, but man, he's almost like reverted to pre-Leicester days.
Yeah, there's a difference between drop off and falling off a cliff.
Yeah, and he fell off a big cliff. So I'm a little obviously nervous about that part of it. It'll be interesting to see what he puts out in the field. I mean, he's going to have to run a back four given what we have personnel wise, which means we're going to see McFred in the middle sitting at defensive center mid. I don't see any reason why he's going to play Pogba given his performance on the weekend or during the week. Bruno will definitely play. The front three is the real question. Ronaldo will play. There's no question about that. He will start most likely in the 9, but at the same time, there is a chance that he might not actually start in the 9. He will definitely be a part of the front three, but I could actually see him going with a front three of Cavani, Ronaldo, and Rashford, which maybe that's the move this time. Rashford offers straight line speed, getting behind the defense. His runs behind defenders are almost impossible to cover. And Cavani and Ronaldo actually have linked up pretty well together. They're both extremely intelligent in what they do. Cavani's a workhorse. Ronaldo hasn't run as nearly as much, but it's going to be interesting to see what gets rolled out there. And I am going to hang my hopes on individual brilliance because I know that tactics is not going to necessarily win this game in the long run. So maybe we see Scott McTominay come through and score 2 goals at random. I mean, he almost had a game.
What is this Leeds?
Yeah, he almost had a goal this week. I mean, it was the finest of margins that kept it out against Atalanta.
True, that is true.
So
McTominay scored a nice goal in the Manchester Derby one of the past few times. Pass from Ederson out to him, threw it right to his feet. You never know.
And hey, this would say, like, again, this is going to be an individual brilliance game. It's not going to be, necessarily Ole's tactical masterclass, but I think we're going to win, which is, I know, is bold for me to say.
One thing I will say, if you start Cavani and Ronaldo, they're both older, obviously, but they are so good at just finding the little spaces within the box.
Yep.
Cavani's been doing it for years, and I mean, obviously, so has Ronaldo. His record speaks for itself, but they're just so good at finding the little spots in the box to get in there and score the goals.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, his positioning in the box is stellar, is absolutely stellar. So, yeah, the real question will be service, and if Bruno can like stop running forward so much, and take up a spot, to where they, the ball gets worked around to him and then he feeds it in the box. I think we've got a real shot in taking this one down. So, since we don't have anybody from City on this podcast, they don't get a preview. Too bad. Let's move on. I'm going to kick it over to you, Scott. Talk to us about this trip from Eric's favorite side of Liverpool.
So Spurs go to Everton, which, one of our better away records is away to Everton. But so Conte's been here for 2 days, technically neither of which he was officially running the training because of his work permit. And everyone who played significant minutes in the Conference League match will only be able to partially train tomorrow, obviously, and then get maybe one full day of training before the match. So I really don't know what to expect. I mean, we saw a difference in desire in the Conference League match, like I said, but I don't know how much tactical stuff has been passed on and some of the organizational things he wants to do. So I don't know how much impact he'll have so soon. But given our history at Goodison, we always score goals, always. And even with Jose, we scored goals there. Now we conceded 5, but yeah, I just think that the difference in energy will be enough because we're better. We have better players than Everton does, and I don't think they've quite found their feet. Obviously, I think they'll get better, but now's not the time to play Tottenham, especially Everton. So I think we're going to win that one comfortably.
All right,
we can only hope.
Eric, do you want to weigh in on Everton?
Yeah, come on, you Spurs. No,
That's
they
right.
just I don't know. I haven't followed them closely because I hate their guts and I wish they'd get relegated as an organization. But I'm telling you guys, it's every year. Every year is like, this is the year of top 5 or top 6, top 7 or whatever. And they always have this, get your hopes up with a couple, nice victories at first, maybe the month of August, maybe it's into September. And then after that, maybe it's injuries, maybe it's something else, but then they start cratering and losing matches that a top, 5, 6, 7 side maybe shouldn't lose. And it happens every year to these guys. And I love it. I'm here for it.
So let me ask you
Rafa's
this.
doing the Lord's work.
Are they the Miami of the EPL?
Oh, the Hurricanes? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, every year is
We're back.
Every year is going to be their year, but yeah.
This is our year. We're going to do it.
It's never going to happen.
Never going to happen. Exactly
No.
right. Yeah. Okay. All right. And the other honestly, this is the other game that I'm actually going to do everything I can to make sure I watch. West Ham versus Liverpool. West Ham look like the 4th place team right now in the league. They are extraordinary. They're putting out extraordinarily quality games, and they have Liverpool coming to them. So Eric, talk to us about what Liverpool's feeling.
Yeah, it's going to be, like you said, Charles, it's going to be a really tough match. You look back on their form, they don't score a lot of goals, but they sure as heck, score the back line. They sure as heck don't let up at many goals either. I see a lot of, 1-0s, 2-1s. It's at their place. Mikel Antonio's a heck of a player. I've always wanted him on Liverpool. I think he'd do well with us, but it's not meant to be. Still on West Ham, and he always gives us trouble. So it'll be a really tough, grinded out match. It's going to go all 90. It's going to be just knockdown, drag out. It'll be really tough. So I'll say my prediction for in a minute, but we'll be lucky to get out of there with a draw, to be honest with you. So,
Kyle, care to weigh in on West Ham?
Yeah. So I am I expect this to be a really good game. I hope West Ham are able to pull it out. I like what David Moyes is doing in London with West Ham. He's got, and we talked about it last week with West Ham and Aston Villa about them being on two different planes and going in different directions. And David Moyes firmly has West Ham in that top 4 to 6 range, and they've been playing really well. Declan Rice had, he had at least a goal the last game that they played, and they won that comfortably. So I think it'll be potentially, outside of the Manchester United City game, probably the best game of the weekend, because West Ham are flying high, Liverpool are Liverpool. So it's going to be interesting to see what Moyes is able to do against Klopp.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that it could actually even be a better game than the City Man United game, because there's a real chance that City and United start, trying to play games with each other instead of going all out. So I see,
which is typical of a derby match. It's just a lot of times it ends up being a lot more lackluster than you expect. Yeah. But every once in a while you have those fireworks, bonkers derby matches. So, but yeah, I think of the games of this weekend, that's the one I'm most looking forward to, is Liverpool West Ham, because I think that's going to be a real good game. And hopefully, being a Chelsea fan, it ends in a draw. That would be the best result for me, but I'm just looking for a good game. So,
Scott, 3 to 5 words on West Ham.
Declan Rice is too good for them.
That was not what I was expecting. All right, good job, Scott. No curse words. Not
That's
condemning
7
anybody
words.
to. Yeah.
Well,
he's not a math guy.
Don't tell me what to do.
All right, let's move on to our pick'em for the week.
We're not going to talk about Chelsea Burnley. You don't want to.
We're only talking about the good games.
No,
that's fair.
Burnley's in the relegation zone. We don't need to.
That's fair.
We're not worried about this at all.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right, so I'm going to go around. I don't have everybody else's picks. This is normally Jen's job, and Jen's not here, and she didn't send me like a spreadsheet of any kind. So we're going to fly by the seat of our pants and just do our 4 picks for each of these games.
Our 4 picks.
And I'm not recording this either. I mean, it's pre-recorded, so whatever. But if you get it wrong, that's too bad. That's too bad. All right, first up, Southampton.
Talk about get it wrong. I bombed last week. It was I got 1 match right out of the 5 or whatever. It was awful.
Sounds like opportunity for the rest of us.
It is. Yeah, it is.
All right, first up, Southampton hosts Aston Villa. Scott.
I think it's going to be a draw. I think Villa are the better team, but I think that Hassan Hoodle hasn't quite started his yearly collapse yet with overrunning of his players. So I think it'll be a draw.
Can you collapse from the bottom?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle.
I'm going to go with Southampton. Aston Villa is floundering a bit at the moment. I think Southampton has a couple nice players. I don't know if there's a perfect starting 11 for them to have, but they have a lot of nice young talent. So I think Southampton will get the job done.
All right, Eric.
I don't like this game at all. Give me Villa, but it would surprise me if Southampton win. But I chose Villa.
Okay. All right. I am going to take a draw, like Scott did as well. I think it's one of those. It's more about I don't trust Villa to win rather than I trust Southampton to be good enough to do anything special. So it could very well be a 1-1 draw with 2 terrible goals, or it can be a 0-0 draw where nobody's competent enough to score. So, all right. Feature match of the week: United versus City. Scott.
Varane makes a pretty big difference to me, just because of
personally.
Yes, in my life dearly. I would love to send him like a fruit basket or an edible arrangement for the performance.
He would love that. He would love that.
But I think that given the fluidity and the interchangeability of the attacking players for City, having somebody with some pace that can also read the game is something you'll miss, because you'll get the pace with some of your other guys that'll come in, but they obviously don't read the game like Varane does. So I think that matters. So I was going to pick a draw, but I'm thinking City will edge this one.
Okay. Kyle.
City.
No explanation.
Nothing needed.
It's Manchester City, and you guys are you're a bit asunder at the moment. Like Scott said, I think Varane going down injured is a huge blow. I know from you and our other Manchester United fans that you all are not a fan of the alternative center backs that you guys have, and you still don't have a defensive midfielder that you can trust. So until that changes, which it's not going to for a while, United are going to be susceptible to good counterattacking teams and teams that are able to break them down. So I think City will win. I think it'll be interesting. I think you guys keep it close for a while. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think City get the win.
All right. Eric.
You red devil bastards burn me all the time because I pick you and you lose, and I don't pick you and you win. So I don't know what to think from you guys.
Pick City.
I look for
pick United.
I look I look forward to a good match. Derby matches are always pretty entertaining. Although if it gets to the 75th minute, they might start to slow down and just play for a draw because nobody wants to lose a derby match. But I'm going to go City by a slim margin.
All right. As I mentioned earlier, I believe that United will win. One of the things that I think what Kyle mentioned that was rather poignant is that United are susceptible to good counterattacking teams, which is absolutely accurate. But I think one of the things that we're going to see out of United this weekend against City is us sitting back and absorbing the pressure from City, and then we're the ones doing the counterattacking. And again, I think Rashford is going to play, and I think Rashford's speed behind the defense is going to be an X factor. And the more that I think of it, the more that I think it's really possible that he plays on the right, so that he can get behind Zinchenko rather than playing on the left and trying to get behind Kyle Walker, because Kyle Walker's got great speed too. So
you don't think Cancelo might play?
He could. I don't
even then. He's such an attacking player for them right now. He would be somebody you wanted to exploit.
Yeah, 100%.
I think the issue that you guys are going to find with City's midfield being what it is with Gundogan and De Bruyne, there's not one player you can key in that's going to be the puller of the strings, because they just have two or three options in that midfield that can make that final pass. So
I will say this though, City is easy to frustrate. Like they get emotionally upset really quickly, and so if anything,
look who their manager is, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, they also lost to Nuno's Tottenham, so I mean,
it's not.
They lost to Vieira's Crystal Palace. I mean,
it's true. It's true. So we've got a chance, and I like us this weekend. So
I think going into any derby you have a chance. So
yeah. The emotions and the tension's always high, which is good. So next up, Palace hosting Wolves. Scott.
This one reminds me of the Southampton Villa match. I think that the advantage that you would typically see from Wolves, I just don't think they're where they'll end up being with the new manager. So I think that they're not the better team, but I think they'll get the draw. I think it'll be a draw.
Okay, Kyle.
I gotta roll with Crystal Palace. They're coming off probably one of the biggest wins they've had in recent memory, beating City 2-0. Patrick Vieira has them, in spite of everything that you would expect from a Vieira team, he has them playing well. Conor Gallagher looks good, which is good for me because he's a Chelsea loanee. He's crushing it at Crystal Palace. Their striker, I think it's Edouard, that moved from Celtic. He's looking good. I mean, you got a goal from Wilfred Zaha last weekend, which I mean doesn't happen all that often. So I'm gonna roll with Crystal Palace.
All right, Eric.
Palace is just definitely the better team. Vieira's done a great job with them this year, and I've talked at length about them earlier when we play them in my observations. So they're just too good of a side for Wolves. So I say Palace.
This is really scary. I have to somewhat agree with Scott again.
Brandon is never going to talk to me.
No, I know, but I'm gonna make an adjustment to what you said. It does remind me of the Southampton Villa game, but in a different way. Um, these are two teams that are fairly equally matched, but we're not talking bottom of the table match. We're talking upper middle table matched. I think one of these two teams is going to challenge for a European spot. I shouldn't say challenge. One of these two is going to earn a European spot. Both will challenge for a European spot given their recent form. One of the things we were worried about early on in the season with Wolves was their inability to score. They've found that Jimenez is back. Jimenez still knows how to score quite well. Their attack is reborn, more or less. They look very good, and I'm taking Wolves in this match because of it. All right, moving on. Another one of the games we covered: Everton versus Spurs. Scott.
Like I said earlier, now's not the time to play Tottenham, and especially if you're Everton. So Spurs, and I don't think it's going to be close.
Okay, Kyle.
Spurs. As much as it pains me to say it, Spurs.
All right, Eric.
You get that new manager boost with Conte. Spurs 6-0.
Whoo! All right, and no bias in that one at all.
No, not at all.
I'm gonna deviate from the group. This is gonna be a draw. I think the new manager boost can be a real thing, but I think he wore it out in the whatever league that you guys are in.
He used it all up in the
He used it
Vitesse
all
match.
up. It's all gone. Not that they won't play hard. I just don't know that he's gonna find the right combination of players to break down Everton. And basically what I'm saying here is I think Rafa's smart enough to handle Spurs in this match, not beat Spurs in this match. And that's all. So I think it'll end in a draw. All right. And moving on to our final game, the second premier game of the weekend, West Ham hosting Liverpool. Scott.
As much as I want Liverpool to bury West Ham in just a blaze of bubbles. Just fiery bubbles.
Blaze of bubbles. I like that.
I think that what Moyes is doing there is going to play pretty well against the style that the Liverpool are going to want to play. And again, the best midfielder in a Liverpool match will not be a Liverpool player. Declan Rice he's going to just crush the midfield. He did it to Tottenham when West Ham beat Nuno's Tottenham. He was easily the best player on the pitch, and he'll dominate a midfield, and he'll take it. If you let him, he'll take control of the game. Now, obviously, Salah and Mane will do the same in the final third, but as far as possession, winning the ball, recovering it, and recycling it, I think that Declan Rice could control this thing. But the front three are so good for Liverpool, I think it'll be a draw.
Okay. Kyle.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Scott here. I try to avoid picking draws because I think it's not as much fun as picking a winner and just hoping for the best. But I think this will be a very good match. I think it'll be, even if it's a low scoring match, it'll be one of those low scoring good matches. You know, there's a difference between a good 0-0 draw and just an awful 0-0 draw. And I think this game will be the former, not the latter. I think it ends in a draw, but I think we're entertained for 90 minutes. I think, like Scott said, West Ham, I think, has the advantage in midfield because of Rice. Liverpool has the clear advantage in attack because of Salah, Mane, and even Firmino in the recent weeks. If Liverpool's defense can show up and not have a brain freeze in the box, it could just be a goalless draw. So I'm going for a draw.
All right, Eric.
Well, I agree with all your assessments. It's gonna be a great game. I can't see it scoring more than 2-2 apiece. Declan Rice is definitely the best midfielder, easily, Scott. So Scott's correct on that. Unfortunately, I'd love to have him, but it's not meant to be right now. But our front three has been playing pretty well. Bobby's out with a hamstring. I just typed it in the chat. He hurt himself Champions League game against Atletico Madrid. So Jota will start, which is fine. He's been in form. So, but still, you know, Moyes has done a great job at West Ham. It's at their place. I'm going to go also for a 2-2 draw.
All right, I'm going to preface my pick with there is absolutely no hidden agenda here. None. All right. This is going to be Liverpool's easiest game of the season. Liverpool wins 6-0. All right. They're going to dismantle West Ham from the get-go.
Oh,
It is
Oh,
going to be
the old reverse. Yeah, I know that.
ugly.
I've seen this.
It's
tactic.
going to be ugly. Like this, you'll see Moyes crying on the pitch, on the touchline. It's going to be ugly. 6-0. Liverpool.
I could see it.
All right. So now that we have that all taken care of, let's kick it over to Eric. Finish this off with the what in the world of football. What's going on?
Well, pretty soon we're having the holiday season coming up, and one of the classics of the holiday season is Elf with Will Ferrell, and Will Ferrell's a big football fan, and he's a part owner in the LAFC of the MLS, and he was actually in town for a game. He got to be the honorary falconer before the game. I guess they have a falcon mascot. He gets to control the falcon. It flies around and comes back to him, much similar to those Auburn Tigers, I guess. But he got to go in the press box, and he kind of did a good job. People, I didn't watch the match, but people on Twitter, whatnot, said he did a good job kind of announcing, play-by-play, a little bit of color. And then he brought his two friends along, his the two of the greatest soccer coaches of our generation, Coach Beard and Coach Ted Lasso, for a little analysis and little in-game pep talk, and it actually won. LAFC actually won the match. So thanks to Beard and Lasso, I love those guys.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Eric,
2 weeks on the bounce, Eric. Positive
weeks.
stories.
3
3
weeks.
Look at this guy.
We have a positive winning streak. It's awesome.
I took
Oh.
heat of it. Now I'm gonna change my ways.
We'll just
Oh,
wait till
well-
West Ham win and Spurs lose.
It's going to be the end of all the good things, all the
Yeah.
nice things.
Next week, Eric, what in the world of football? Nothing. Everything sucks.
Football's canceled. It's all over.
Yeah.
Want to thank everybody for joining us again this week. Obviously, we have a great time chatting about the Premier League. We would like to hear from you all more. So give us your input. Tell us what you think about our picks. What are your picks? If there's something you think we should cover, you want to hear us talk about, feel free to send us a message at FIVEATB on Twitter, spelled out just like that. Hit us up, and we will see you all next week.